There is a book that the Jewish people love to today, and they have every reason to do so, and that is the charming book of Esther. I say charming because actually, if it was turned properly into a movie, there'd be a lot of blood and thunder in it. Um, but it is a charming story in many ways. It tells us what happens to the Jews who didn't return to Jerusalem, who stayed where they were, either in Babylon or Medes and Persians, or whether they moved in different areas. Some stayed in Egypt and developed a presence in Egypt, in Alexandria, a very big presence in Alexandria, actually. And of course, when you have Pentecost, you find that these people who didn't come to Jerusalem, that their descendants did come to Jerusalem and experience the day of Pentecost, which was glorious. When we have the book of Esther, we know the story so well. How a beautiful girl is selected to be one of the concubines, I suspect, or potential queens, queenettes, queenlets, whatever you call them, wifelets, um, to the king, the Medes and the Persians. The mother queen, the queen, uh, is displeasing and disrespectful to the king, and she gets demoted, and Queen Esther gets promoted in the affections, strange affections. Um, there's no sign that she has children or things like that. Um, it was a position much more than a marriage as we understand it. But anyway, she's in a great position. He doesn't know this beautiful girl is from the stock of the Jews, and he doesn't know about the uncle who was used in happened to save him at one time. He doesn't know what's unfolding, but something is unfolding, and God is working a purpose. And the purpose that God's working is never mentioned by name. And you won't find God speaking like he does in the prophets. But he is working in the nation in such a way that the end result means a great massacre of Jews is prevented. That doesn't mean a lot of unfortunate people didn't die. They did, but they were not Jews. And this is a story of salvation in a foreign land, of Jews living in a foreign land, and Jews being identified as a separate group of people, again in a foreign land. And what's going to take place in Esther is going to be their salvation. Now, the kind of lessons that you can pick up as you read Esther is that what you have is God's presence and God's people and God's protection, and parallels that you find in that with other stories of Israel. And these things the Jewish people today hold on to. The sense of God's presence and God's people and God's protection. They believe that in the Second World War, that God was still protecting a remnant in spite of the millions that were unjustly slaughtered. And what an evil job that was there in a foreign land, in Germany, in Poland, and other people. So, what do you learn from the story that you know so well of Esther and her uncle, of an evil man trying to pull them down, even of a place where you could hang people, and the person who built and had built the gallows was the person who eventually would die, and not the uncle? Well, you can get a few things and a few points. And I'm not going to spend long on these, but they are so input. Your life will be in difficult times, and you have to come to terms with that. If you just said to Ezra, I can take you away, take you back to Israel, and you could be with Ezra and Nehemiah and have a good future, she said, thank you very much. She didn't say she wanted to be a queen. but she had to take her life and put it alongside the life that was given to her and make the best of it. And some of us do that, both in our workplace. I know people who've hated their work, but they still did their work to the best of their abilities unto the Lord. The other thing is we have to acknowledge our rulers. There were rulers, and she had to acknowledge not only the rulers, but the way they did things. She had to fall in line with the way they did their government. And Paul tells us in Romans 13 that we also have to have that kind of respect. We also have to have an appreciation for the workplace. You also have to accept that sometimes there's delays before things work out the way you would want them to do. However, there's a joy at the end of the book. The tables were turned and the Jews got the upper hand over those who hated them. And it became a great festival. And the great festival carries on today. Look it up on your Google. The festivals of the Jewish people today. It's the festival here in this beautiful little story of the Jews that didn't return, but were still protected and loved by God. Wonderful lessons for us all to learn there. Boy in his Bible speaking. Hope to see you soon. The next series is on Job. That should interest you.